Hello, so welcome back to the You Name It podcast. It's episode 10, and we're just putting a little warning here as we got told off by YouTube last week. So, this podcast does contain some strong language and also contains some sensitive topics. So, if that isn't for you, or you don't want to listen to any of Denver's terrible banter, then leave now. But I tell you what, it is a good one. So, let's get started.
Like, to play me, I would want someone who's also quite skinny, but is more handsome than me. Because I feel like that's how it goes. Someone who's like kind of like you, but way more handsome. Like Facebook, that every night had sold out, and this was maybe like a week or 2 weeks before the opening night. And I'm just being like amazed. Like that still is kind of one of the highlights of kind of my short theatre career. Thinking I'm a completely unknown writer, and this musical that I've written has sold out like a week and a half.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's important that you like you say, you do discuss this stuff with your mates and the people who are important to you. And it's important to, like, I know it's so cheesy to say, but it's important that people know that they're important to you. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's just a like, how's it going? We should get a beer sometime or whatever. I think those things do, like, are.
You name it with Denver and Ricky.
Hello! Yes, welcome to this week's episode of the You Name It podcast, episode 10. That's right, we've made it to number 10. How do you feel, Denver?
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes.
That was like my excited siren, mate. We've made it. 10
Five.
episodes in.
5 plus 5 is 10, and we are
Well
here.
done.
I know. Yes, we are here. But Denver, who do we have this week on today's podcast?
This week, we have the man who can do it all. You name it.
You name it.
You name it.
You name it.
He's done it. Exactly, Ricky. Exactly, because of our pod name. But this man, he is an actor, a writer, director, teacher, all-round dramatist, and of course, podcast host. It is your boy, Adam Ward.
Hold for thunderous applause.
Nice one, guys. Cheers. That was cool.
Adam, how are we?
I'm good, you know. Yeah, not bad. Just keeping on. You may have heard me say things like this before.
We're gonna have to mention the elephant in the room, aren't we?
I just want to.
It's in my mind.
I just want to. Before we, come about me for a second, Denver, did you say dramatist? Did you say like dramatist?
A dramatist.
I was like, wow, that's a new word, but it's definitely a word.
Don't try and cover over what's just happened. Because, Ricky, what you've done here is proper drop a ball, haven't you, mate?
I would like to apologise to all of our 10 fans out there that we started recording, and I tell you what, we did a stellar job. It was lad on lad banter. It was going great. And then, unfortunately, I forgot to press the record button.
How long did we speak for? We had a good,
30 minutes.
We had a good 30 to 40 minutes of content that is it was just a Zoom meeting. That's all it was.
We'll never hear of it now. We just had a good chat.
So
it's lost in the ether now.
But I tell you what, this time it's going to be even better with far more energy. And I have a good feeling because we are on record right now, aren't we, Denver?
Yes, I'm recording as well, just to make extra sure.
I can see the flashing light.
Yeah,
it's not happening.
But
I've been in this podcast game a little while now, and
is that one of your number one tips? Make sure you're recording.
That flashing red light.
Oh,
this whole time, Ricky. This whole time. We've got to our 10th episode and we've had an actor, we've had a filmmaker, we've had a DJ. The first time we have a podcast host on the show, you don't even press record.
I just want to apologise to my family, Adam, Denver,
I
and
was going to say
anyone.
me, you dickhead.
Don't swear. This is a family show. Jesus Christ. But I don't know what to say. I'm heartbroken, but
And that's this week's show. Thank you. If you want to find us on Spotify and YouTube,
and if you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star, please, please, please.
those 5 stars mean a lot, people.
They
They do.
definitely
They
They are
do.
bread and butter.
Right, well, we know you really, really well, Adam. We know you really well by now. But the listeners don't.
Good
And
job,
now we've got our section again with the amazing jingle. Get to know you.
So, Adam, as we all know, your podcast is loosely based around cancel culture. What would you cancel? And at the start of each of your shows and your podcast, you ask them, what would you cancel? So we didn't get done for copyrights or anything like that. And because if Ricky's editing is good enough, which right now I have very little faith it will be released on Good Friday. So in the spirit of Easter and in the spirit of your podcast, what would you resurrect?
Do I want to go with what I said before?
I wonder what he'll say.
What was it that I said? I'm gonna put this on its head a little bit.
Okay.
And say I'm gonna say what I don't want to bring back as well as what.
Okay.
I do back. What I don't want to bring back is
So you've now put a cancel on bringing back. You can't help it. You can't help it.
I can't help it. It's my nature. What's bothering me a lot is we're all kind of arty people who like to make things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming a lot of people, not everyone listens, but a lot of people who listen to kind of theatre or music or whatever. And I like putting new things out. You know what I mean? Putting new things into the ether. I like that word now. I'm going to keep saying it.
I like it. It's very Marvel-esque.
Yeah. And what I don't like is people keep remaking films that don't need to be remade. And another thing is people keep making musicals of films that don't need to be musicals.
Yes, yes.
There's no need for Back to the Future to be a musical. I love Back to the Future as a film. Don't make that a musical. I just needed to say that while it was in my mind.
So is this the more live action movies we're talking about?
No, just in general. Like, you don't need to, like, okay, so Space Jam. Space Jam was perfect. I love Space Jam as a film. You don't need to make a new Space Jam with LeBron.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be done.
Make a new Space Jam with LeBron.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
But you don't need to have 3 different Spider-Men in the space of 10 years.
on the musical stuff though, because I did an essay on that when we were talking about like how like films becoming musicals becoming films becoming musicals. Sorry, can't talk. I'm scared that we're not on record still, but we are. And I was talking about like who really wants to see like Elf the musical and like what was the other one, Groundhog Day the musical. I know that was quite good, but like I just don't care. Like I really just don't care.
I want to see something new, like the musicals that are happening now that interest me are ones that are just musicals and nothing else. The obvious ones like Six and Hamilton, and like these shows are like just musicals, and they've been made specifically to be a musical. That's what I want to see. I don't need to see. It's like one of the things I don't like about a lot of big touring shows is they like need to tag on like, oh, here's someone who was on Strictly, so you want to come see it.
You have to throw someone in,
yeah, they have to say here's the big name to draw punters in, and it's like, no, just go see the show because you want to see the show.
I totally agree with you there. There was one that really annoyed me. What do you think about jukebox musicals? Are you a fan? Because I listened to the episode where you talk about directing Our House, which we'll get into, being part of Our House. And I really like Our House, but I saw one. It was called An Officer and a Gentleman. I'm not sure if you've ever seen the film. And it's like that cringy, like 80s film, but they made a musical out of it, but just used pop songs from the time. And I tell you what, it was god awful. Sorry if anyone's listening to you.
No, I do agree. I think the thing with Our House is because I think it's that thing of I didn't like Our House. I was going in to direct it, and like it was already, the show was chosen, the cast was chosen, I was just coming in to direct, and I you get like an affinity to a show when you do it. I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
If I'd done it, I wouldn't like it because in my mind, Our House is just Blood Brothers with Madness songs.
Oh, I agree,
But
100%.
like it's a good show and they're good songs, but I generally don't like jukebox musicals. I want to hear new songs.
Yeah,
Make
so,
your own stuff up.
mate, yeah, write your own music, definitely.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. It's so much more interesting.
but we haven't got what you're resurrecting here. We're only getting what you're cancelling.
Well, so that's what's happening on Good Friday, isn't it? We're bringing that back to kill. But what are we bringing back on Easter Sunday?
So I had three things in mind. It was the Cadbury's Dream,
Yes.
Yeah.
which it's like if you don't know, it was around years ago, probably when I was in primary school, and it was like a dairy milk bar, but white chocolate. It was hella good. I don't know why they don't do it because I think white chocolate's a popular chocolate.
I prefer white chocolate. I
Really?
prefer white chocolate every day of the week. I'm a white chocolate kind
I
of guy.
did not know that.
Love one of those
Yeah.
pups. And then I also like to resurrect the Taz. So it was like a Freddo, the caramel Freddo. Before it was Freddo, it was Taz, the Tasmanian Devil, and it was Taz and Freddo. I don't know why it was. They created the character of Freddo, who was the Chocolate Man, and I don't know, well, Chocolate Frog Man, but I don't know why Taz is just Taz.
Well, this is what I wanted to know. Like, was it like the Freddo is a frog and it's shaped like a frog? Was the Taz shaped like the Tasmanian Devil?
Yeah, it was shaped like the Tasmanian Devil. It was that kind of shape.
Well, you thought they would have sponsored the Freddo as well. It's a weird thing.
Like you would have, but maybe that's why they've gone. We don't want to keep paying Warner Brothers. Let's just make this caramel Freddo.
So just call it Caramel Freddo.
Caramel Freddo.
Yeah.
And the other one was Tupac.
Yeah.
And the other one was Tupac.
Yeah.
I'm not
A 15p chocolate bar are one of the
15p?
greatest.
15.
Well, they were back then. Yeah.
I mean, how much is a Freddo now? Like 40, 45?
45. Well, I didn't want us to get involved in the politics of the Freddo game because I thought that was a dangerous field.
I think it's 50p now. I think it's gone up.
50p?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was about 25.
Did you ever see the Tupac documentary called Tupac Resurrection?
No.
Oh, it was so good. Because basically what they did in Tupac Resurrection was they brought it out like not long after he died. But what they were doing was they were making an MTV documentary about Tupac's life, and he like narrates his whole life. So it was kind of like the documentary was like Tupac narrating his life from beyond the grave.
Oh, so it was like recorded before he died.
Yeah.
That's sick.
And because Tupac had been shot like earlier in his life, like when he did get shot, like he's there like saying, "I got shot" and all this sort of stuff. It was bizarre, and like there's all like the weird
conspiracies and all of that.
Theories about like how Tupac's still alive, and it was like one of those things that really kind of.
So people are there going, "Look,
like,
I'm telling you,
still alive."
Oh,
well, was it Snoop Dogg? Snoop Dogg that got him on stage as a hologram.
Yeah, the hologram. Yeah. And I think it's that weird thing as well of like after Tupac died, he released like 4 albums of like new content.
Yeah, there was a lot of question marks over him.
The fact that he might still be alive.
Yeah. There's probably more chance you'll get Tupac over a Tazbar, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. This is very true.
Is it what?
I just think...
there's been sightings of Tupac.
I just think Snoop Dogg, he's well known for smoking a lot of cannabis. What is his head thinking when he's looking to the side of him and he's just got Tupac dancing next to him? His head's falling off there.
When Snoop Dogg said he was Bob Marley reincarnated and made a whole album for like 2 years, then went back to being Snoop Dogg again when he realized no one bought it.
He's one of the most remarkable characters in the world and somehow now advertises our popular takeaway app.
That's what I think is bizarre. Like when you think of what Snoop Dogg was like when Tupac was alive, and like Tupac's whole thing was like about being like an advocate for social change and inequality. And if you were to speak to Snoop Dogg now, like, oh, so what do you do with your time and money? Oh, well, I'm just doing Deliveroo adverts.
Just do the Unjust Eat advert. Don't you worry about me.
Sorry.
The money you would have got for it would have made sense.
I bet he must have get paid an absolute fortune for that advert.
Millions.
And
millions.
the thing is, what's weird about that advert? It's like My mum and dad have no idea what Just Eat is, but they're like, "Did somebody say just?" And it's like, how? Why do you know this? Because it's on everywhere. It's so catchy.
Have you heard what they call it in Australia?
No.
So they've got the same thing, Snoop Dogg singing, everything like that, and then they go, "Did somebody say menu log?" And it's menu log, and it's absolute shite.
Oh,
I thought it was really clever of them. Because of COVID, they couldn't film Snoop Dogg in the advert, so they got like a toy dog puppet.
Dog,
I thought that was a pretty good way of getting around that.
Well, I thought that it was either they couldn't film it or they couldn't afford him for the second advert. And they went, just put a dog on this time. Yes.
You've already paid him to do the song.
Yeah, so it's all right. Just get a dog to lip sync it now. We're fine.
second question with me, the would you rather.
Would you rather?
The would you rather king. We need to be here for the would you rather king. I'm doing a crown. I'm going to add like whatever there because I'm cool. Would you rather? Would you rather? The would you rather king. So, Adam Ward, would you rather make love to a cat but nobody ever finds out, or would you rather not make love to a cat but everybody thinks you have?
See, the first time round, I had a wonderful answer for this.
And it was so profound. It was so
very profound, but I can't really remember what I said. So I'm still sticking with the same answer. But yeah, I think it was the thing of.
You said, I remember this correctly. You said Denver's uncomfortable with who he is, and you're not. Like, I remember that.
That was the bit you identified.
No, so what it was that I would rather people think I did than actually do it, because I feel like just shrug that off because it doesn't bother me, but it would bother me emotionally to know that I've done that to a cat. Whereas
I have no shame.
Care about the cat.
Yeah, I have no shame.
Denver would make love to the cat and tell everyone. That's what
I've got a reputation. I've got a reputation to keep up. I can't be doing no cats. To be fair, you're probably right. I'd probably do that.
You would.
That's what I did.
Can I just put on record? I would not do any cats.
That was your Saturday night.
I was just down the pet store looking at some cute cats.
Some cute pussy cats.
Oh, we're all staying away from the word, aren't we? We're trying to not.
That's to lower the tone.
Yeah, that's lowering the tone, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit too blue there.
Right, I'm going to move on anyway. Finally, obviously, we are affiliated through our connection of Marks and Spencer's and working there together, Adam. So this is quite a prominent question, and we need to know it with every guest we've got on. What is your favourite supermarket?
Yeah, so in terms of the actual content of the supermarket, what they're selling, I mean, M&S has got to be king because I just love their stuff. But I'm not going to shop there every week. I'm not going to do a big shop. I'm going to get little pieces here and there.
Get the dining deal.
Yeah, dining. Although they put the price of dining up.
It's 12 quid now.
12 quid? No.
12. 12 quid. Ridiculous.
So I'm going left field, and I'm going to say Aldi.
Ooh.
Yeah, strong choice.
You get a solid oof with that. Yeah.
Pretending to be shocked.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I did not expect that. Oh, I tell you what. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking Aldi because Lidl has got that wonderful bakery section, delightful bakery section. But I think kind of quality and price-wise, I feel like Aldi's hitting the mark right now. And 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said that. They wouldn't. Lidl and Aldi wouldn't even be in the conversation. But,
the Aldi game has been unbelievable. It's been meteoric.
It's
Very
been...
Bournemouth-esque. It reminds me, if we put it in football terms, it was like a Bournemouth sort of progression. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, rising star, like a wonder.
Yeah, rising star.
Wonder kid at Football Manager.
A few years back.
And it takes a massive lead, I think, Aldi. Is that the 4th or 5th one, Ricky?
I think it's. I still think Morrison's is doing well. Morrison's is definitely.
Hodgson's is doing well, but Aldi's up there. We're gonna have to report a table.
Yeah.
Now we're at our halfway stage.
Yeah.
Could be halfway. We might just do 2 more episodes. Who knows? But we'll say we're about
Well,
halfway.
we'll say
out.
about. I mean, we're gonna. Say, I mentioned last time that we haven't even had a single vote for Tesco's, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And Tesco's up your game. Come on, and Asda.
Yeah.
They haven't even got a vote yet.
Yeah.
So
I was just gonna say, what I would say about Tesco is, like, when I think of M&S or Aldi, they've both got like good own brand stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think of like Tesco as being a place that has good own brand stuff. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I totally because like Tesco stuff, own brand stuff is not good.
I have to disagree. The Tesco curry, mate.
Oh yeah.
Spot on. The Tesco ready meals, they do a job. They do a job for me, but I'm having sex with a cat, so maybe you shouldn't listen to me.
His opinion is meaningless.
His opinion literally doesn't matter anymore. We can clip that out then, and put it as our trailer for next week. So what you've given us there is just some brilliant content. So thank you, mate.
He knows what he's talking about.
We're just going to post that.
I'm going to move on and embarrass myself a little bit more because, of course, we work together at Marks and Spencer's. Other supermarkets are available. And we were speaking earlier to Ricky about how we met, and I told him about the time that I nearly got fired because of a picture I posted on social media.
You know, it's funny. I wasn't working that day, I don't think, but I remember hearing a lot about it the coming days.
I'm sat on the till, minding my own business, and brilliant, about 5 foot, ex-Butlins red coat. This is just to give you an image of him as a character.
Nice. Sounds like a good guy.
That really does sum him up as well, doesn't it?
It does. Literally him. And he took me to the office and he was like, Denver. We all got on really well, to be fair. It was a really good little team. And he just went, Denver, I don't know how to approach this, but and just opened up a printout of a screenshot of my Instagram post, and it was a picture of me in my M&S uniform with my flyers undone. Just taking a selfie in the M&S bathroom.
Yeah.
Just finish.
No, let's not make this worse than what it is.
Just finish with the cat back here, taking a photo in the mirror. Sorry, carry on.
You are going to get us cancelled, man.
We're with your boy cancelled. We need to get cancelled here.
Selfie in the mirror, and the caption said, "Getting paid to take a shit." Hashtag Marks and Spencer.
Was there another hashtag like hashtag poo? Hashtag. Like,
I think I just went hashtag M&S or hashtag Marks and Spencer.
Oh,
And literally, my manager had to keep leaving because he couldn't stop himself from laughing, and came back and all of this. A further up manager had to come in to investigate it. I had to get a member of staff to sit in with me, kind of like my witness sort of person, my kind of defence, honestly. And I should have got fired.
Lawyers were care.
Luckily enough, I had backing from one of the assistant managers. So that's how I nearly got fired from M&S. And that is how we know each other.
Well, that's a
No, we don't know each other specifically from that story.
No, not just from that story, but from working together.
Adam took the photo. That's what it was. Adam was just there. That's how you know each
I
other.
was taking the picture.
Right, so after us digressing quite a bit, to be honest, from Tupac to Freddo's and everything else.
You name it.
Everything else that came in between. Let's actually get into, Ricky, the meat.
The
of
meat.
The podcast.
Do you know what we need here? Is we need another jingle. So I'm gonna hopefully have time to put a jingle here.
You are jingle mad, Ricardo. Just
Jingle
remember to
all the
record
way.
for now.
Okay.
So obviously, each week we ask our guests to create a movie. As you heard from Lewis's podcast last week, it might not be about your life, but we normally ask you to do it about your life. So let's see what yours is like. The first thing we need to know about your movie, Adam, is who is going to play you and why.
You know, this was really difficult. I think that's the hardest one. Who would play me? Because
Okay.
I feel like to play me, I would want someone who's also quite skinny, but is more handsome than me. Because I feel like that's how it goes.
Mm.
Someone who's like kind of like you, but way more handsome.
Yeah.
So,
That's a really good point. Like I look at like Bohemian Rhapsody, which I watched recently.
yeah.
Like I look at like Freddie Mercury. Like, he was a good-looking guy, yeah, okay. But either put Remy Malek, and it was a slightly slimmer, more attractive version of him.
Yeah, they need to be more handsome. So like
Yeah.
thinking about it, like I was speaking to Erin, my girlfriend, and she was saying someone like Joseph Gordon-Levitt would be a good pick.
Yeah. Funny,
But-
funny enough about him. He follows me on Twitter.
Oh really?
Don't know. Yeah, honestly, he follows me on Twitter. Don't know why. He just follows me on Twitter.
That's amazing. Love Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He
So,
definitely still doesn't.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, come on.
After this episode, but I think I would pick either Timothy Chalamet or Harry Styles.
Ooh.
Okay.
Like skinny, well dressed. That's the vibe. But
Yeah.
I think realistically, it's probably going to be like Michael Cera or something. Like that. I feel like it's probably Michael Cera. But if I was choosing myself, I feel like that's who would play me. And the
So-
kind of style the film would be, it's probably going to be Michael Cera. But I would
Right.
want it to be Timothy Chalamet.
So ideally, you're going for like Timothy Chalamet, Harry Styles, that sort of beautiful look. But realistically,
Yeah, handsome, skinny man.
I'm penciling in Michael Cera.
But realistically, it's going to be
We'll see.
Michael Cera.
We'll see if he's available. We'll get on the phone to him now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the most realistic thing would be Michael Cera.
So why is that? Why do you see that connection between you and Michael Cera?
I think just because he's like kind of alternative, like comedy, nice guy.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of my
You
vibe.
fall into it. I only saw recently Arrested Development, and
Yeah.
this is a young Michael Cera. But
Yeah. He plays the son.
he hasn't really changed.
No, he's looked the same for like 15, 20 years. Like,
He's-
so, and I've kind of looked the same since I was like 21 to now. Like, I still, even teaching now, people always think I'm a student constantly.
Yeah. So you've got the same kind of anti-aging cream as
Right.
Michael Cera, clearly.
Yeah, this kind of like paternal child vibe, like Michael Cera does. I want to
Okay.
be Timothy Chalamet, the guy everybody
Well,
loves, so handsome.
It's your movie. It's your movie. So if you want to throw Chalamet in there,
I've got to be realistic to the story.
right? Okay.
And Michael Cera, I mean, it depends what we're going for.
Yeah.
But I think Michael Cera makes the most sense.
Okay.
If it's an Oscar film, it's going to be Chalamet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we go with really, okay, so
If we go
that
with
sets us up
realism.
nicely.
I just have a before we move on. I just
Go on.
wanted to ask why Harry Styles? Like I know he's not an actor. Like I know he's done Dunkirk, but he's not an actor.
Dunkirk,
So why Harry Styles? Like obviously I get his personality and he is like he does dress well and is obviously a very handsome man.
He's one charming mofo. isn't he?
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Did you
Which
just
is
say
really-
mofo? Sorry.
Yeah,
So
mofo.
we need to comment on that.
Well, you tell me off for swearing, so I went for mofo. All right.
Yeah, I just think he's got an interesting vibe. I think I think now he dresses really out there, but
Yeah.
like I kind of respect his fashion sense.
Yeah.
Clothes are something really important to me. So maybe.
So the way that he presents himself, it's
Yeah.
very just out there. He expresses himself through his fashion, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Very much so.
And I appreciate that. Whereas Michael Cera is not particularly fashionable,
No.
and that's where Michael Cera falls down.
Yeah.
To be fair,
he's not there for the women. is he?
He's not known for his fashion, is he, Michael Cera?
No.
Like he's not.
Whereas like Timothy Chalamet and Harry Styles are, I'm very big on clothes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's kind of why the fashion element, but like the personality elements probably lean towards Michael Cera.
Okay, so that leads us to the next question quite nicely. You've said you've chosen Michael Cera because of the style of the way your movie's going to be. So you could probably guess already the style from Michael Cera being in it. But tell us a bit more about the genre and how your movie, your story begins.
So it's musical comedy because kind of everything I've done since being like about 15 has been that. It's always kind of musical comedy. It was like when I was in uni, in like our end of year awards, I was nominated for best couple with me and my guitar. Everything that I do, like, is always involving me playing guitar. Everything. Like, everything I make, it's always like, how can I get a song that I've written into this?
I think
this is
the character be musical.
Well, I want to say, I think it's only right here. When we had our end of awards, Denver, do you know what's coming now, don't you? When we had our end of awards, we did all this, and I won an award, but I won it unanimously. I was the only person voted for this award. Do you remember this, Denver? And
No.
I won biggest diva.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And Laura Silk, who ran the poll, she said, you were the only person who got nominated. Nobody else. And I was just like, that says a lot about me as a
Says
person.
more than a lot. Well, you saying with
Oh,
I was just saying, you saying with your guitar, when looking at the things that you've done, everything is right and direct, but it's always musician,
Yeah.
musician.
the consistent theme of me.
That guitar
playing
has to get in there.
Yeah, like, I'll always try and find a way. But
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't really like acting in stuff that I've not written. And that's not in a like, oh, I think what I write is amazing kind of way. It's just in the way that I know how it's supposed to be and how it's supposed to sound. And one of the things I don't like about, I don't act very much in general anymore. But one of the things I never liked about acting in other people's stuff was I don't know the context. I don't know like exactly what the writer wants. Whereas what I like about if I'm acting something I've written is I know exactly what I'm going for. I know exactly what I want. So that's kind of why. So anytime I can, can I like ad lib a line in here, or can I change the way this is said, or can I just bring my guitar in?
Yeah, just got all that in.
Give us a little
just
song.
so I've got something that's mine. It's like I did this like Peter Pan tour last Christmas, and the Christmas before I called
this nonsense.
And I just kind of added loads of music in, just to kind of, so I've put something in there that's mine. I think that's I think whenever I direct, I always want the actors to have an ownership over what they're doing. So I kind of that's kind of the mentality I have with every project. I want to have feel like I've put something into it.
Yeah, and as well, personally, I act, and even to that extent, I think that's a push. But
push.
With you, big push. But with you saying that, obviously, you write, you direct, you write kind of the score and everything like that as well. Do you find when you are then put in as just an actor, not just an actor, but as an actor, do you find yourself, oh, this could be written better, and this could be directed better, and it's more like an information overload where you can't kind of tune out from one or the other?
Yeah, I feel like when I'm just acting in something, I feel way more exposed, and I think maybe in some ways the guitar's a bit of a crutch, where I can be like, I can hide behind this because this is my world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's part of it. And then also, I think when you're in uni and you're in college, you've kind of got this, you kind of have this like constant reassurance and constant building up, and you're constantly doing work, and people are always telling you how great you are, and you're getting distinctions and firsts and all that kind of stuff, and you're getting it like constantly, like people saying you're amazing, you're great, this is amazing, you're going to be a star, you get all this stuff, and people build you up, and then when you come out of that space and you're doing it on your own, you've not got that constant reassurance, that constant bigging up all the time. Like you guys are not too long out of uni, really, are you? You're only a few years out. And I don't know if you felt this, but you've not got that, like, I feel like you question yourself a lot more.
Oh
yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's why I like to write as well, because then I'm kind of making that work for myself.
You can control what is going out there.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's really interesting you talk about how uni reassures you and stuff like that. And like, I guess because I did a master's afterwards, so I went to LIPA to do a master's in acting, and at there, like, it's such a different vibe to how you are at uni, because uni is about like building you up, building your confidence and making you learn. But in drama school, I felt it's all about breaking you down until you cry. And I'm sure you've heard it from the people you've interviewed saying, I remember when this person just cried, and I remember just crying, I remember this, and it is, and people who are listening to this who were in our class, people did just have moments where it was like I'm talking about a story and crying. It's really, and I feel like it sounds really weird, but now looking back at it, I'm like, it's probably prepared me for like stuff where it's like I'm gonna get rejections. I'm gonna be in a year like we are now, not knowing where we're going, and you're gonna question yourself. But because you've been in a worse place, you can kind of build yourself back from that moment, and it's kind of fascinating to talk about and realize those things.
Yeah.
And also with it is, as actors, well, what are we? Whether we like it or not, we're all big egos, aren't we? And we love that. And because we've had it since such a young age, or whenever you started acting, you've had that, you're doing good, you're doing great, you're doing great. When it does go away, it does feel like something's missing or anything.
Yeah,
So even when you are struggling, or if you're doing even the opposite and you're doing really well, that reassurance, because it's not there, and we crave it, don't we? And it's not necessarily the reason why everyone acts and stuff, but you're lying to yourself if the reason you're not in this profession is to get a bit of attention and a bit of that warming feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's part of the reason that I think one of the reasons I stopped acting was not it didn't feel the same. In that I used to love that buzz. That's what I loved about doing comedy. I love that buzz of getting a laugh. And then the last show I did at Liverpool Fringe, last thing I wrote that I put on, well, that I was in, and I got loads of laughs, like throughout the piece, but like I didn't feel that buzz. Do you know what I mean? I didn't feel that like they're like, oh, everyone loves this joke or whatever. But I get that more from directing, or if I'm doing music and like I see someone else do a line that I've written and get a big laugh, and I get the buzz from that more than I do performing myself now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a very paternal way of looking at things. It is that you're
big word for
you're
you.
looking over. I know.
But of course, we need to, because we are building this film. So, what is the opening scene here? What are we starting with, Adam?
Opening scene. You know what? So I went to go after I finished uni. I went and did my PGCE at Huddersfield and taught in Harrogate. And I was teaching in Harrogate for a few years, teaching performing arts. And I got this audition for this play in York. And it was like a really long run. It was something like a 6-month run of this play that I was auditioning for. And I remember going to this audition, and the casting director, I was like the last person they were seeing of the day. This is where the film would start, I think anyway. And the casting director goes to me, okay, so just so you know, a mate of mine he just auditioned just a minute ago for the part that you're auditioning for, and he absolutely smashed it. So can you just tell me, is this funny? The bit you did, the piece you're doing, is it funny? And I was like, I mean, I guess. Like, he's proper like going hard, like trying to psych me out.
Yeah.
And I go upstairs with my guitar, and basically for the audition, it was like there was like 3 points you needed to hit. There was 3 things you need to say. Another night it was like 5 minutes if you could do whatever you want. You wrote it yourself. And I go into this small room, and there's like a casting people. There's like 5 people sat in this small room. I do this audition. It goes great. They think I'm great. Get the part. They offer me a second part. They tell me like when press day is going to be and all this kind of stuff. And then this same week, I get an interview to lecture in the Cotswolds. And I'm like, I don't really want to move to the Cotswolds. But I'll go do the interview, see how it goes. So I go to this interview with the thing in mind of I'm going to do this play. So I don't really care about this job. But then I get the college job. And I end up choosing the college job. So kind of the film would start with like this scenario of like me thinking, what's the right choice to make? And I go with the college job. But I do sometimes think how differently like my life might have turned out, or how differently anything might have been. Like I might not be here right now doing this had I done the play instead of choosing to go teach in the Cotswolds for 2 years.
So why did you go teach over the audition?
Well, the thing about the play was I knew it was a short-term thing, and I chose the Cotswolds because the college was amazing. They had like a really awesome theatre, like youth company, and it seemed like I would have got more out of the teaching than I would just being in another play. So I chose the Cotswolds thing, and also it was the most money I've been paid for anything of any job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this one.
And it comes in like money's so important. Like you can't really,
And the thing of going and living in some other city that I didn't know at all. So yeah, they would start there.
Yeah. So where are we here? We're in like 2015, 16, 17. Okay. So
sorry to cut off. There's this really interesting point because we were talking about the musical Our House earlier, and now you said you've got these two decisions of like one going to teach and one going to do the play. I'm kind of thinking maybe in the film now. So maybe in the film we've now got two Adams. Is this something you've thought about, or
no, potentially? No, that wasn't something I'd thought about. But yeah, that's
because then we could have Timothy Chalamet play one of them, and then we can have Michael Cera play the other one. So we've got both of them.
There we go.
so that's your way around it.
Got both of them in that cast. Yeah, that's perfect.
Well, what I found really interesting in terms of the timeline and all of this, obviously you graduated from uni studying drama in 2012, and obviously we're in 2017 then. So before all of this, you've done your PGCE, you've done your degree, you've studied it at college, all of this. Why would it start there? What I guess what I'm trying to ask, like, why 2017? Why was it not bang 2012? We go again.
I had a really rough time, like 2017, 2018, emotionally, I would say. And I think up to that point in my life, I had like a lot of coasting, to be perfectly honest. Like college was a breeze, got distinctions, was always like main roles, kind of got to like mess about and do what I wanted. At uni, it was kind of a similar story. I know a lot of people who didn't love uni because they were like, oh, I didn't get to do the show I wanted, and like the lecturers favored this person, blah 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 blah. People always tell you their like kind of sob story about why they didn't like uni. But I was kind of very much like, I had quite a bit of an ego, and I thought I know what my skills are, and I kind of just went full steam ahead. So like in my final year, wrote 3 plays, directed 4 plays, and I was kind of just like smashing.
In your final year, you did that?
What was that? Sorry?
In your final year, you did that?
Yeah. Jeez. So I wrote Long John Silver that you came to see.
Yeah.
I wrote the original version of that for the third year festival.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everyone directs for directorials. For my I did an independent project rather than a dissertation.
Okay.
And I did a one-man show. A murder mystery is a one-man show.
Sick.
And then I wrote like another. We did like a schools tour, and I wrote the play for that. So like I was just writing loads, but like I felt like I don't know. I feel like everything was easy in my life.
Yeah.
Up until me making this decision to go live in the Cotswolds, and that's when kind of my whole world got turned a bit on its head.
You got your head into gear.
What was that? Sorry.
You got your head into gear, sort of thing.
Not even that. Like I just had like a lot of. We can get into this as well. But I just had like a lot of family stuff happen in this 1 year, and it was just a lot to deal with. And it felt like that was a really defining moment in my life. Whereas I feel like college and uni, as much as I love them, I don't feel like they kind of defined me as a person.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this window of time, I felt quite definitive.
So what was it around that time that made you, what seems like, kind of grow up into the man and professional that we see before us now? What was going on there that made you realize, come on?
I had this 9-month window where my mum passed, my grandma passed, and one of my good mates, all in this 9-month window of me living in the Cotswolds.
Wow. Oh, my word.
And it was just so heavy. And like obviously my girlfriend, who I've been with for years and years, she was based here. Like all my friends and family are like in Leeds or London or Liverpool, so it was a really isolating time. So even though like professionally I was doing like amazing, all of these things just kept hitting me like one after
Happening.
the other, and it was just like really difficult to deal with. And I feel like that was kind of a defining moment, because I feel like teaching in many ways, as much as I like it, I kind of got into teaching more because it was what everyone felt I should do. Like my parents were very much like, this is the safe option. So you should get into teaching because you're going to get, you enjoy teaching. You're always around theatre while you're teaching, and you're going to get like a decent pay being a teacher. But like I still had my heart in theatre.
Yeah.
So like all these things happening really made me think what's important to me. And one of the things was really just making theatre. That's what I love to do. Is kind of be creative and encourage other people to be creative. That's one of the things I love about youth theatre, is working with young people and seeing them kind of become artists and create for themselves. Like I love that. But there's a lot of elements of teaching that I don't love.
Yeah.
So that was a really big thing, a really difficult time. But like I feel like that's made me grow so much as a person dealing with all of those things.
Yeah.
Whereas up to that point, I'd never really lost anyone. Like I'd lost my granddad a few years before that, but I'd never, like my mum was massive, and like one of my mates was just so out of the blue. So dealing with all that in such a short space of time, as well as like living in a quite isolating place in the Cotswolds. So yeah, it was a tough old time.
So was it kind of like a almost, excuse me, life's too short sort of decision, where it was like, look, anything could happen at any stage.
Yeah,
and
fully.
I've got to get
that's
myself.
what it was. And it was the thing of thinking to myself, what's important to me? And ever since I finished uni, because I did Long John Silver as a third year festival show, and I'd always have people speak to me like, that was a great show. Are you ever going to do anything with that show? What's happening with that show?
Right, so we have mentioned it quite a few times. So tell us a bit more about Long John Silver, the remake, as you will. The big show that I came to see, I think it was 2018. And it was in the Hope Street Theatre.
Yeah, we had a sold out run, which is awesome. Really cool. Musical comedy that I wrote. First wrote it in my final year of uni, then we kind of rewrote it and made it like a bigger, longer, kind of a bit more in-depth show with Liverpool Arts Society guys who now own Liverpool Arts Bar.
Yeah, shout out.
Big up.
Good dudes. So yeah, it was that thing of I'd gone through all this stuff, and I was thinking what was important to me and what did I want to go and do, and it was to go and do that show. So I just kind of put all my energy and my effort into rewriting
Making sure that happens.
And making that happen. Yeah, for sure.
So tell us a bit about, because I can imagine you've had a sellout every night, massive, and it was massive. I think there was a few people standing at the end of it when I came to see it. It was all good fun. I've got the memory of a sieve, but from what I remember, people enjoyed it. But tell us about that feeling of where you came from when you were sat in the Cotswold and not knowing where to go, what direction, to the end, your final night of the show. And you're getting that reception. You've had 4 sold out. Is it 4 sold out nights, you said?
It was a Wednesday to Saturday, yeah. So we had 4 nights and a matinee that was sold out.
There you go. And they all sold out. Tell us about that feeling of kind of, tell us what you felt.
You know, I remember being, I can't think of the name of the bar, but me and Aaron were in on this rooftop bar in Manchester, and I just remember seeing it like on the Arts Society Facebook that every night had sold out, and this was maybe like a week or 2 weeks before the opening night, and I'm just being like amazed. Like and that still is kind of one of the highlights of kind of my short theatre career, thinking I'm a completely unknown writer, and this musical that I've written has sold out like a week and a half before we've even started. That was like an amazing thing for me. That's one of the biggest things. But yeah, those things were huge. Those moments, yeah, super important and super like amazing to have that. Yeah,
And on this play,
yeah,
you
it's huge. I think the sad thing about it, I remember my dad saying like how much my mum would have loved to have seen, loved the show, and I think that was a sad thing because she never got to see it. But I think a part of kind of me putting all this energy into doing that show was I didn't give myself the time to grieve and really deal with into the show and do the show. We worked it for 6 months to then do the show, and I think so. You get post-show blues in general, like when you finish doing a show, and it just that like we finished the show, and I think as well, I went to the Lowry and I spoke with their head, their programmer, and she was like, "Love the show, but because we've not seen it, can you take it to the Dukes in Lancashire and put it on for a few nights there? We'll come see it. If we like it, bring it to the Lowry." It's like amazing, cool. But at the time, the art side guys were taking over the bar, so they weren't in a position to do it. So like we couldn't go ahead with it. So it was kind of like the joint. It was kind of like everything was kind of falling apart at that point for me, because I was just thinking I want to go all in on this show, but the team aren't in a position to do it. So that was a tough thing. But I feel like in terms of my own film, I would end it at like opening night of Long John Silver.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is that?
I just feel that's like a triumphant way to end it, and I feel like a lot of people would come on here and say, "Oh, like it ends with me winning an Oscar, or it ends with me winning being a big shot." But I feel like that's not real and that's not interesting. That's not what people want to see. Like I'm more interested in films that are like people's actual lives, and I feel like that would be like a nice kind of crescendo ending of like all this stuff has happened and he's gone and done the show he wanted to do.
Yeah, it's a really nice ending.
That's a really really nice ending. So my question for you is, we were talking about how you redid Long John Silver as like this rebuild project. So I was wondering about the process of how you rewrit the script and how you rewrit the songs, because from someone who when we wrote the musical, I always look about the stuff I do with rose tinted glasses, so I can't really like chop and change things. So I was wondering how you find the ruthlessness in your process to go, I want to change this, I want to change that, I want to do this.
Yeah, it's a really good question. The big thing for me was not directing. Alex Medlicott directed, and as soon as we started, Tom was like, "Do you want to direct it?" And I immediately said no for that reason, because I knew for a fact I would say, "Oh, we can't get rid of this, or we can't cut this," because it was so great. And I needed someone else who didn't have. Cause Tom had seen it, because he was the year below me at uni, so he had seen the show first time around. That's why he was so keen to do it. But Al had like nothing to do with it. He'd never seen it. All he knew was Tom said it was great. So we needed someone who was completely away from the first project to say, "I like this, let's change this," and put their own spin on things as well. And I think you can't be precious about stuff. I think you've got to be open, and it's got to be a collaborative thing, because it can't just be your thing.
And did you modify your script, or did you rewrite?
Yes. Yeah.
So did you modify what you already did?
Yeah. So that the original script, from that we changed loads of, like we added loads in. I think we added maybe 6. I think I wrote like another 6 or 7 songs.
Nice.
And changed storylines and added loads of bits. And the funny thing is that the song that's kind of like the song of the show is the song that starts the second act, called "My Time," and we used it for all the promo material. But that wasn't even in the original one. Like I wrote that halfway through the process of redoing it. And I remember the first time I showed it to Tom and Al, because I'm not a great singer, and this song was really high because it was meant for Joan to sing. And I was singing it and I can't hit the notes, and I'm singing this song through, and like Tom and Al are just looking at me like, I don't think this song is the one. I was like, no, honestly, get someone to come in. So we got Kim, I think it might have even been Joe Sherlock, who was in the show. I think we got her to come in and sing the song how it's supposed to be sung. And they're like, okay, cool, yeah, this is the song, and like that ended up being like the big song of the show. But yeah, loads of stuff got changed for the better. But again, if I were to do it again, I'd change loads about it again. I think you should always be kind of updating and changing your work. I think you should rest on your laurels. You need to keep making that work better work. Because there's stuff I would cut out entirely now if I was to do it again.
It's really nice hearing you say this because obviously what we're going to get onto it now, but I've been listening to your podcast a lot recently. Your boy cancelled, and go check it out, and we'll put a plug to it. And ever since listening to your podcast, it's made me really want to write. Like I don't know what it is about the people you talk to, or it's something about your voice and your dulcet tones. It's like I really want to get writing again. And listening to you saying like, "Oh, I did this," has really made me want to go. I kind of want to do something, and I think that's. I don't know. It's just something that I've got with me, and obviously talking about the podcast. If you wouldn't mind explaining a few sentences or two about what the podcast is to our audience here.
Yeah, sure. So it's called Your Boy Cancelled. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and it's we start every episode cancelling something, but it's always something silly. It's never something serious. It's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek thing at cancel culture because I think people cancel stuff at the drop of a hat, and I think it's a bit absurd. So it's kind of about, it starts off with that, but really it's just an excuse to speak to creatives and people I kind of admire and respect about the work that they make. So kind of similar to you guys, speak to actors and directors and like producers and artists in general, and just kind of find out about them and like why they make the work they make and passionate about it.
What made you want to do this? Because obviously this is kind of the now. This is what you're currently pursuing. Obviously you've done other podcast gigs before, but this is the first one that you've done yourself and created yourself. What made you go, right, this needs to be done?
I just wanted to do something that was for me. I think I was doing a film podcast before with a few mates, and it wasn't my project. And I think that's what it was very much someone else's. And I didn't feel like anything about that project was me. And I just got to the point where I wasn't really passionate about doing it anymore. And I kind of was just showing up, and I just wanted to do something that was for me. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought my whole career within kind of theatre and the arts has been me doing it for myself. That's kind of what I've always been about. Ever since I was in college, I was like writing a piece for all of us to be in, like writing little radio plays and stuff like that. It was always me. Like, so this was one of the first times I was doing a project that wasn't like my baby. And I think I just wanted to go and do something that was me. And I think as well, we're in a really strange time where there's not a lot you can do creatively, just because of COVID and everything. And I just thought this is something I can just put my time and energy in. And alongside that, I kept writing, and I kept writing like short plays, and like I wrote 2 pieces like at this festival called Showface, this online festival, and some other theatre festival. I won some kind of award of some kind. I don't know.
Was it the new writing winner?
That was the one, yeah.
Someone's done their research.
Someone's read my sheet. Yeah, like I think you just got to keep testing yourself and challenging yourself in different ways and doing things that are going to push you creatively. And that's kind of why I did it. And also, it's just interesting speaking to people. Like, I'm sure you guys have thought this from
we didn't even realise how interesting people can be until
exactly.
I honestly, we've been so surprised at how interesting some people we know are. Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of mad.
You get to know people on such a deeper level, and that's the interesting thing. And it's that thing of, like, if you're in the pub, you're not going to have the same level of in-depth conversation you would with someone on a podcast. Like, if we had this exact same conversation in the pub, like, I wouldn't have gone into detail about, like, my personal life so much as I have done on this podcast. But that's what's interesting about the podcast, because it's...
People put down those walls.
Yeah, and it should be like that. And I think we talked a little bit off air about how it's important, how, like, men's mental health especially, talking about stuff like this. I think we need to talk about stuff like this because it normalizes it. It's like when I was going through all these things, I would regularly speak with my students about it because I think they need to see it's okay to talk about this stuff. And I think the only way that people can kind of grow and heal and kind of better themselves emotionally through this kind of stuff is to talk about it, because when you ball it up, it doesn't do anyone any good.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what I find so interesting with creatives, more actors, with us guys, is it's so easy when you go through something traumatic to jump straight into it. And you even touched upon it yourself, and just act and just pretend everything's okay, and just throw yourself into theatre, music, whatever, and just kind of pretend everything's all right. And I think especially in our field, so many people can fall into that and think, like what you've said, they might work on a project for 3-4 months and think everything's okay, but when things do come crashing down, you need to be there for each other. And if you're not opening up and you're bottling it all in, it can really be a struggle.
And I think I was going to say, I really like what Denver said here, because like we are sitting here saying like, you know, you should go and talk to your mates, but this podcast idea just started off as a fact that me and Denver just wanted to talk to each other, and we wanted people to listen. And it just started as that we were going to have a phone call with each other and just have a chat. And I think that sounds really sad when you say it out loud.
That was our first idea.
Yeah,
our first idea for a podcast was because mine and Ricky's phone conversations are just ridiculous. So it was like, why don't we just press record on our phone calls and release them?
But we're thinking it's quite a nice idea, because like if you are someone who like really suffers and doesn't want to talk to people about it, if you listening to someone else have a phone call, then it's also like, this is what a podcast is. And I know we can't really say for people, but like if you can see a mate that is struggling, I think give them a message. Just what is stopping someone from giving a message to say, how are you? And like some people love that message, and
send them a link to this podcast.
That's not something you should be promising.
Get them on the podcast. We're here for everyone.
It's true. And I think for me, because I've never really kind of ever suffered emotionally at all in my whole life up until this like window. But I think that's why it's important that you like you say, you do discuss this stuff with your mates and the people who are important to you. And it's important to, like, I know it's so cheesy to say, but it's important that people know that they're important to you. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's just a like, how's it going? We should get a beer sometime or whatever. I think those things are important.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
It goes a long way, even if it's a small message of how are you or hello. It goes a long way for someone who really needed that message. So, and I think you've said it really poignantly right there, and I think everything you spoke about has been so interesting and fascinating. But of course, we've got to get to the final. I don't know how to say this. I was going to say meat, but I'm going to.
Before we get to the end of that, Ricky, we love an exclusive on this show, and you didn't quite say it yet, but Adam, is this a confirmation that there will be a series 2 for the podcast?
Yes, there will be more.
There will be.
Yes, my walks are going to stay interesting.
Yeah, I've taken.
When do you want us?
I was going to say you guys should. Yeah, I originally said I was going to take a couple of weeks off, and then I've not released an episode since November. So it's been a little while. But yeah, I've recorded 3 more episodes in the past couple of weeks. I've got a few more in the books to record. So yeah, episodes will be coming out in the coming weeks.
Amazing. And there's a big expectation here, but let's do it in one. Tell us the song of your movie, your Bond song, your soundtrack, and finally end it with what the title would be.
Cool. You know what? So I had a lot of thought. I'm very into music. Obviously, it's super important to me. And I was thinking, I need like a. Have you seen Almost Famous? Have you seen the film Almost Famous?
Oh, I thought you meant the burger restaurant.
Oh no. There's a film by Cameron Crowe called Almost Famous. One of my favorite films of all time. And they have this really famous scene when it's about this band on tour, and they're all on the tour bus, and they've had this big argument, and it's all quiet, and Tiny Dancer by Elton John's playing, and they're all sat there. Everyone's annoyed at each other, and they start singing Tiny Dancer, and they all like look at each other, and like it's like everyone's mates again. Nothing needs to be said. And one of the things I like about Cameron Crowe so much is he says music says the things that we can't say. Yeah. Which I really love that quote, and that's something I think about a lot, and that's why I like musical comedy and musicals as a whole, because you can say stuff in music that you can't say in dialogue. That being said, because of the kind of person I am and the kind of film this would be, I would write the song myself.
Yes.
I have the song right now.
Oh,
I would write the song. The whole score would be by me because that's
Yeah.
how I do things.
Yes, love that. And we're going to ask for an exclusive. Write the song for us and we'll release it.
Yeah, let's hear this song. Let's hear this song.
We'll give you 2 weeks. We want a song.
Just a few chords, and your first few lyrics.
That's it. I've got the guitar over
There you go.
Never too far away from that guitar, as we've established.
It's within shot.
I think we can actually see it in the camera shot. We can. It is there.
Oh, he's going to get it.
Does the guitar have a name?
Doesn't actually, no.
Oh.
A big crack in the bottom. Is it in tune? There you go. Called Your Boys Arrived.
Oh,
Yes.
Keeping
yes.
in line with the podcast, Your Boy Cancelled, Your Boys Arrived.
Your boys arrived.
Where does-
Nice and simple.
It-
But what we did this week was, because on other podcasts, other people didn't have their titles. So we've decided beforehand, we're going to guess the title. And if we do, then there's going to be a prize for the winner.
And the prize
So-
is, this week, if any of us have got it right, it's a pair of football boots. So,
Let's see.
fingers
Let's
crossed.
see.
Are they?
I'll get them. I've got them right here.
Oh, so I'm going to win your boots. Not
Mercurial's
really thought
pink.
about this. Right,
Oh,
okay.
very nice. Very jazzy.
So at the start of this, me and Ricky have a nice little meeting, you know, all professional, and we decided to name your movie. Ricky went with
Film.
Adam's film.
I just went with
Or was
film.
it just film?
No, it was
so
just
that
film.
it did win. I went for something a bit more creative. I went for Adamation.
So it would be an animated film?
Yeah, well, if you went for an animated film, then that'd be it. But you didn't. So from the get-go, I kind of realised I probably wasn't going to win. We both said a Your Boy, and we was like, is he going to do Your Boy? And we should have done a Your Boy, and we should have
Yeah,
done
you should
that.
I was thinking like Your Boy's film, and the reason I went with film is because I thought like I was thinking art house out there, like yeah, we label it your film, and that I would love to see a film called Film. I'm trying to establish myself. I just couldn't think. I was just like,
Yeah, I was going to say, you justified that well.
Before we finish, I just want to say a massive thank you once again, and yeah, and I will be certainly listening to more Your Boy Cancelled, and I hope that the rest of our audience will be. And Denver, have
Yeah.
you got any final words of wisdom to say?
I have. Honestly, Adam, we've known each other. When I was trying to look back, it's probably been just under 10 years, to be honest, because I started when I was 15 and I'm 24 now. So it will be a good 9 or so years. And like what you said, we never have openly spoke about those things. I did know about certain people passing and all of that, but we never went in detail. And this is why, thank you for coming on the podcast, because this is the opportunity to do just that. And there's so much we didn't even cover in your career. But yeah, just thank you for being so open, and all of the best with everything. And Your Boy Cancelled is coming back very, very soon.
Yes,
And
it
thanks
is.
for listening. And while you're here, let's just get a few plugs in. Like, subscribe, and enjoy the menu. I don't know why I said enjoy the menu. But on that note, goodbye. You name it. You name it. You name it. I was thinking that, Denver. Yeah.